Welcome to my American History Notes, where I discuss conclusions I've drawn from studying American history. You don't have to agree with my conclusions, any of them, but you should know about the people I discuss it even more to be conversant in American history. So, we're still in the Civil War. I'm going to continue to discuss that today. And just some highlights. There's a lot of people that have watched this that would be a lot more conversant in individual things than I am, even though I really enjoy studying it. Um, and I have a graduate certificate in the American Civil War. But let's begin. So, um, no, I'm sorry. I have a master's degree in American history, and so I have studied the Civil War. So, graduates of the United States Military Academy at West Point, New York, established in 1802, such as Ulysses S. Grant and Robert E. Lee, fought on opposite sides during the war, and graduates of the United States Naval Academy at Annapolis, Maryland, established in 1845 and moved to Newport, Rhode Island for the war, such as brothers William of the Confederate Navy and Foxwell Parker of the United States Navy, fought on opposing sides. The first year of the war saw the disastrous First Battle of Bull Run for the Union, where the Confederate General Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson first became famous, checking the advance of Union General McDowell. Lincoln had to replace his army commanders, often due to inaction, as in the case of General George B. McClellan, who did little against the Confederate commander Joseph Johnston except train the Army of the Potomac. Ulysses S. Grant, by the way, Joe Johnston, who fought a very defensive type of fight, and he made the enemy bleed. Grant says in his biography that if Johnson had been in charge, left in charge at the end, that the South would have won because the North would have eventually just been so exhausted from trying to conquer them that they would have given up. They would have just stopped and let them have their independence. But most historians and the Confederate leadership didn't like Joe Johnston because he was willing to give up Vicksburg and Atlanta and stuff like that to keep the army intact, which is what Nathaniel Greene in Washington did for the Southern Army in the Revolution. They kept the army intact, gave up territory until the British were just exhausted, and that's how they part of the reason why they won. But anyway, Ulysses S. Grant faced off with another Johnston, Albert Sidney Johnston, on the Confederate side in Kentucky. In 1861, two Confederate diplomats named Mason and Slidell were captured en route to attempt to gain support from France and Great Britain on a ship called the Trent, what became the Trent Affair, leading the United States close to war with England. In 1862, at the Sea Battle of Hampton Roads, two ironclad ships, the Union Monitor and the Confederate Virginia, also known as Merrimac, fought inconclusively. Wooden ships were now obsolete, although this was not understood by everyone at the time. Also in 1862, Lincoln assumed direct control of the war, relieving McClellan of the overall command of the Army. President Davis of the Confederacy replaced Joe Johnston with Robert E. Lee as overall commander, and the Confederate Army of Northern Virginia was born. Cavalry General Jeb Stuart, J.E.B. Stuart, had great success against the Northern McClellan. Lee, supposedly the brilliant strategist, and Jackson, the widely considered genius battlefield tactician, combined to wreak havoc against the Union, although some historians question their legendary competence. They fought, along with Confederate General Longstreet, the Second Battle of Bull Run against Lincoln's new commander, Pope, and achieved a second major Confederate victory. Lee invaded the Northern Territory, and the bloody Battle of Antietam was fought, a Confederate tactical victory in that Lee defeated a superior numbered army, but a strategic victory for the North, and that Lee's invasion was stopped. The Battle of Fredericksburg in that year was a Union disaster. General Burnside, in command now, was removed by Lincoln. In the West, not far from Nashville, Tennessee, the Battle of Shiloh was a victory for the Union General Grant, who was criticized for victory, but with too much loss of men involved. 1862 also saw the Battle of New Orleans, where the Union Admiral Farragut uttered the famous words, "Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead." Obviously, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. Yeah, that'd be more like it. Ominously for the South, Grant advanced on Vicksburg, the fall of which would split the Confederacy in half. On September 22nd, 1862, a desperate Lincoln signed a proclamation warning that unless the rebelling states returned to the Union by January 1st, 1863, he would issue an order freeing the slaves in the rebel states, and the Emancipation Proclamation was history. I have a 1970s era book by the National Geographic book on the Civil War, which states that less than 1 in 10 Southerners owned slaves and that most of them owned less than 5. Obviously, then, the mass of slave owners that wielded the most power were the owners of large plantations, a minority among the Southern population, if my information is correct. Now, the Emancipation Proclamation is free online, and you should read it. You should read the Emancipation Proclamation. So, um, in 1863, the Battle of Chancellorsville saw disaster for the South as the great battlefield commander Stonewall Jackson was killed accidentally by his own troops. Lee won a great victory, but lost someone he could not do without. General Meade took command for the Union, and Lee's advance into Pennsylvania concluded with the bloody Battle of Gettysburg, a disastrous Confederate defeat capped by the famous Pickett's Charge. The day after the Battle of Gettysburg was over, July 4th, 1863, Vicksburg fell to Grant. The Confederacy was doomed. Lincoln gave his famous Gettysburg Address 4 months later, in which he used John Wycliffe's words from his introduction to his Bible translation in 1382, which said, "The Bible is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people." So you should read the text of the Gettysburg Address. It's very important. Um, and this marked the turning point in American history where the federal government takes over as the final authority on all matters of not only government, but morality as well, in the eyes of many people, rather than the Bible. In my minority opinion, the Gettysburg Address marked a discernible beginning in the secularization of America and the death of the nation that Alexis de Tocqueville visited decades before. Compare Wycliffe's words and Lincoln's appropriation of them. And we'll stop there, and we'll take it up next time, starting with Lincoln's declaration of a national day of Thanksgiving, um, and keep going from there. And I hope this compels you to study American history, be conversant in it. Know more than I'm talking. Know a lot more than I'm talking here. All right, thank you.